When I first had the news that I received money, I ran downstairs and I showed my mother, and she was happy, so she started crying. But when I saw her crying, I started crying.
Need help planning and paying for college? Federal student aid has more than $150 billion to help you go to college. Learn more at college.gov.
My name is Jared, and this is my story.
Sassy! Sassy!
This week's episode, Danger at the Old Well.
Last one to the old well's a rotten egg. Ha! I win. Whoa! Ah! Sassy! Johnny fell down the well. I'm wet. What, Sassy? You know where Mr. Gunderson keeps his rope? Go get it, girl. What? You'd rather use this time to set people straight about shelter pet adoption? I'm cold. People shouldn't be afraid to adopt from a shelter? Because shelter pets are screened for sound health and temperament? I'm wet and cold. Sassy, what about Johnny? What? Let Johnny sit in the well until he learns to be more self-reliant? Sassy! What'd he say?
Sassy is brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org. Remember, adopt.
It takes 12 years to create a graduate. It takes about the same time to create a dropout. The difference between a child becoming one or the other could be you. Studies prove that reading to a child regularly dramatically improves reading skills. And kids who read well by 3rd grade are 4 times as likely to graduate. So United Way is calling for 1 million volunteers over the next 3 years. We're asking you to step up, make a pledge, tutor a child who needs help, mentor a kid who needs someone on their side, volunteer to read to children, make a difference. Because when a child advances, we all advance. Entire communities improve. The path to success or failure starts long before graduation day. And the difference between a graduate and a dropout could be you. Be a reader, tutor or mentor. Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United. Take the pledge. Go to liveunited.org now. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
KXSP, Omaha's ESPN Radio. Listen on AM 590, AM 590 ESPNradio.com, and on the free ESPN Radio app. It's time to strap in and get ready for the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting. Dan and Dirk are live in the studio today, ready to hear from you at 402-573-0590.
Good morning, race fans, and welcome to the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. That is karting with a K. It's Joe's Today, fast-paced white-knuckle racing, road course racing, right here in your hometown of Omaha and Council Bluffs. You can get over to Joe's Today and race for a nice experience with the family. It's always fun to take friends and family down there, so if you get a chance, get down to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. You can get directions by using that good old Google machine, as my older friends would call it, and just search on your Android phones. Or go to their website, joeskarting.com, karting with a K. All right, big show lined up for you guys today. We appreciate you joining us. Dirk, how you doing this morning, sir?
I'm doing great, and that white knuckle at Joe's got nothing on Bristol.
Absolutely. But boy, what a surprise when I walked out the door this morning, and it got a little chilly out there all of a sudden. What the heck happened with that weather?
Well, did you think you moved or what?
I did. I
wait
thought,
10 minutes. It'll change.
I walked out and I thought, is it October? Did I sleep until October? But a little chilly weather out there. Going to be a high of whopping 74 today. So, gosh, it's going to be a little chilly, but hey, whatever. We deal with it here in the Midwest. Turn 4, we are going to talk about the next 5-week contest. The last one wrapped up last night, and we have our 5 winners that are going to be headed to the Midwest Fall Brawl, presented by I-80 Speedway. So we'll announce that next big contest, and I think it's our biggest one yet. Am I just grandstanding, or you think maybe it's our biggest one?
I'm thinking it might have topped everything.
I think maybe so. Turn number 3, we're going to talk with Stan Cisar, who, by the way, already in studio with us. How you doing this morning, Stan?
Real good.
You didn't get to do much work last night, so we pulled you in this morning.
No, unfortunately, Mother Nature didn't cooperate. If we could have got one more cell through there and in the right time, but we got a lot of rain. But we get to try out our new rain date policy of Sundays, so we're going to race today. But I was going to comment. I've never called it the Google machine.
Well,
when
you're
you were
not my
talking about older
friend.
friends, I might be one of your oldest friends. Maybe not oldest for the length of time, but oldest in years. But
I don't know, 49.
Hey, Stan,
you're not that
Stan,
old.
you're not from Iowa.
So that's turn number 3. We'll talk with Stan about all the stuff that's going to be going on. Man, there's a lot of sprint car racing coming up.
Sprint car fans are going to have a great fall, I'll tell you that.
PJ Pedersen, the announcer now at Shelby County Speedway, is going to join us in turn number 3. We're going to preview the Tiny Lund, and we're going to preview the Denny Hovinga Memorial race that's going to be going on at Crawford County Speedway coming up this Friday. So a lot to talk about in turn number 2. Turn number 1, let's recap Bristol, and we'll talk, was there a driver in the news this week?
There might have been.
If there
How
was
about a
anybody.
team in the news this week?
An organization. Boy, what a story that has turned out to be. But before we dive into that and then forget all about Bristol, let's recap Bristol real quick. Your top 10 finishers, Ryan Newman was the 10th place finisher. Dale Jr. went home with 9th. Kyle Busch, after having a very strong car, leading 192 of the laps, I think got caught speeding on pit road, right? And got pushed back to the back of the longest line. Carl Edwards 7th, Brad Keselowski 6th, Clint Bowyers 5th. Clint had a very good car again this weekend. Not again this weekend, but finally this weekend had a very good car and a very stout car. Jimmy Johnson 4th, Denny Hamlin 3rd. This really surprised me that Kevin Harvick battled back after 2 pit road penalties, going back to the back of the lead lap cars, which, by the way, I think at those times there was 19 and then 13, so maybe I shouldn't have been that surprised, but Kevin really did give it a run for his money, everything he had to try to win that race, just not able to get it out of Joey Logano's hands, and I'm really impressed with the way Joey is now running in that 22 car.
Well, if you watch the last dozen laps or so where they really concentrated on those two, and you saw the two really different lines they were running, because Kevin had to go where Joey wasn't. You can't pass him if you follow him.
Yep.
And Joey had the fast line. He was getting down. He was cutting the corners on 2 and 4 and really getting down the straightaways. Kevin would be a foot behind him in the middle of the turn and 100 feet behind him on the straightaway. So
it was, and I just kept waiting for maybe Kevin not to lift as much, when Joey would back off the throttle just a little bit. It was almost like a diamond off the corner you see at the dirt tracks a lot.
It almost happened with about 3 or 4 laps to go.
But that was the only time he really got close, though, at the end of the straightaway. He was just too far away to do it.
And it was only during the lap traffic. Once Joey got away from that lap traffic, the last 2-3 laps, I mean, he really started to check out on Kevin. But Joey gets the win. I believe it's his 3rd win on the season, 11th win in his career. 2nd time he wins at Bristol Motor Speedway. Denny Hamlin finished 3rd. Brett Moffitt was the highest rookie, finishing 30th. Rough days for Matt Kenseth, who lost an engine. Kyle Larson, man, he tagged the wall hard. After cutting a tire down in the corner, and that's one of those scary ones.
And he cut a couple tires down. It wasn't just the one. He'd cut one down earlier and kept it pretty much off the wall. He hit the wall, but not real hard.
Jeff Gordon, not the best day he wanted at his final race at Bristol. Finished 20th. Tony Stewart 19th. Casey Kane 16th. And Kurt Busch 14th. So that's the way they lay out for the finishes at Bristol Motor Speedway. Let's talk Clint Bowyers a little bit. I thought maybe hopefully we'll have enough time in this turn because we've got about 10 minutes left until we need to get over and talk to PJ about the Denny Hovinga and the Tiny Lund Memorial at Shelby and Crawford County Speedway. But anyways, so Rob Kaufman announces, I've purchased stake in Chip Ganassi Racing. And then I thought it was kind of interesting that Felix Sabates came out later this week and said, the deal's not done yet. So we don't know exactly what Rob Kaufman's role at Chip Ganassi Racing is going to be. So then the speculation kind of got started. Well, is the 15 or the 55 going to move with Rob over to Chip Ganassi Racing, and Chip's going to be a 3-car team? And they came out this week and said, we're going to be a 2-car organization. So it just sounds like Rob's taking his money over to Chip Ganassi Racing, and that's going to be the coup d'etat that's going to put an end to Michael Waltrip Racing.
Well, it is, and when you look at the whole thing, when it shakes out, and I mean, Michael Waltrip's pretty much said right on the television, that this is, the last deal for him, and that, he spent all his money and he doesn't have anything to keep the team going. But a side note to that, what a terrible thing to invest in, quite frankly, as a Sprint Cup team. Michael Waltrip Racing put all of his heart and money, good hard-earned money, into this organization, and it's not worth much now that
he's got nothing at the end of the year.
Well, he will have 2 cars inside the top 35, so they'll have provisionals for the first 4 races next year, and that's worth a lot because they do have a provisional for the
somebody can buy
Daytona
those
500.
Yeah, somebody can buy those championship point standings.
Well,
off
and
them.
I mean, he's got all the hard assets. He's got a big shop, and he's got everything in the shop. He's got all the cars.
Well, that's if he can sell it, though. I mean, what race
He'll
team is
sell
out
it.
there screaming that we need a top tier shop?
Well, the building doesn't have to be used for a shop. I
True.
mean, it could be used for any number of things. But there'll be somebody who'll come along, and I think will buy the whole lock, stock, and barrel.
So silly season exploded this week with where is Bowyer going? And I've got all of my theories of where I think he's going. I would like to see him, of course, as a Stewart-Haas Racing fan, I would love to see him over at Stewart-Haas Racing. I think his best organization he could go to that could take him, I have no idea if they're able to financially or logistically, but Penske is only a 2-car operation in the Sprint Cup Series. They could easily purchase that 15 team. The same thing you're talking about. Purchase that provisional, bring all of the team over, everybody that's working in that shop, put them into the Penske home, and all of a sudden they've got a locked and loaded, ready to go 3rd team. I'm not entirely sure Penske's looking to expand to a 3rd team, though. Well,
The way I think it's going to shake out is if he is going to possibly end up at Stewart-Haas, if they're going to get rid of Kurt Busch should be the odd man out, and I don't think Gene Haas is going to let him go after he's won races for him.
They are still working on a contract with Kurt. It says, I think Stewart-Haas posted earlier this week, we're close.
But
that was their statement.
you could see a team funded by Stewart-Haas added on to Ganassi, added on to anybody with more less than 4 teams.
Yeah.
It might even be a Tommy Baldwin Racing that picks up another team.
Well,
funded by Stewart-Haas.
I'm reading here on
Furniture
I'm reading here on jski.com when he posted last night that it sounds like H. Scott Motorsports is the front runner to run Clint next year while he waits for a premier ride to open up in 2017. So who knows where he could go, but it's really interesting for me that within a week and a half, an organization that was fully funded by Toyota and had fully funded both cars fully funded with sponsorships, they're done.
Well, I don't know if they were fully funded by Toyota or not.
Well, they were supported by Toyota, but we've had that suspicion that maybe Toyota's a little unhappy with them, and I think this goes all the way back to that Richmond situation with Clint Bowyer accidentally spinning.
Absolutely, and then you go to last night. I mean, the synopsis of their whole season was last night with under 100 laps to go. You got Bowyer taking out his teammate.
Well, in all fairness to Clint was pinched down to the inside of the racetrack.
Yeah.
Johnson made the move down, and he kind of forced the 55 down, and Clint was coming, WFO into turn 1 and had nowhere to go.
Oh, absolutely. But, I mean, you sit there and look, and, I mean, David Reagan's more of a fill-in part of that team this year for Brian Vickers, who on this whole deal is the odd man out again.
We've talked about it again. Just when he starts to get healthy, he gets back in the car, he starts running well, he has another blood clot, he has to sit out. He's had just an up-and-down career, and then all of a sudden he's sitting in the waiting to get healthy and get the green light to go back to racing, and all of a sudden he doesn't have an organization again.
But going back to the Reagan incident, if Reagan just should have taken Johnson out. Johnson came down on him. He should have put him in the left rear where he was sitting. Johnson would have nosed into the wall instead of Reagan himself.
Yeah.
The downside of that is Johnson also could have nosed into the wall, spun in front of both of them, and took them both out. So
you
never know what's going to happen, especially at Bristol with the bouncing around.
I mean, these things happen in a heartbeat, and half a heartbeat to even boot on that, because it's just insane. And by the way, if you guys want to give us a call, 402-573-0590, you can give us a call and talk to us about where you think Clint Bowyer's going, how you think Bristol went, and the other topic I want to kind of talk about before we get to over to turn number 2 and talk to PJ Pedersen. I want to know of the drivers that are sitting outside of the top 16 in points. That happens to be Eric Almirola, Casey Kane, Greg Biffle, and Austin Dillon. Those are your top 20 finishers. top 20 point standards. Who of those drivers do you think is most likely to get themselves a win over the next 2 races? You think maybe it's going to be Kyle Larson, who I didn't even mention there, AJ Allmendinger, Sam Hornish? You think Tony's still going to get a win between Darlington and Richmond?
No, I really don't. I think the only guy that's really got a chance with a proven track record at those 2 tracks is Casey Kane.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe Kyle Larson, he's kind of got, but boy, I tell you, it is talented, and as much as he exploded on the scene last year, it has been the other side of the coin this year for them.
Sophomore slump.
They just haven't had the cars to be able to get him up and to be able to let him off the reins and go after a win. He really hasn't had much of a season at all. But you never know. I mean, Clint Boyer really didn't have much of a season at all. I think you talked about in the pre-race or before we went on the show. In the Pick'ems contest, you've picked his 2 good races.
Well, 3rd and 5th.
Yeah, and that's about as good as he's had all season long. As far as Clint Boyer is concerned, he's got, 2 top 5s and 10 top 10s. That's it.
Well, like I said, I got both the top 5s, and that's the neat part when they put the top 10 in there. Those are those 2 top 5s, too.
Yeah. We're double-upping stats.
The amazing thing is, I've also heard Boyer's name mentioned of possibly at Roush Fenway, because with their 2 younger drivers that haven't really been producing.
They're back under 4 teams.
And so he could possibly end up there. The Fords really haven't been strong, with the exception of the Penske team. So you can't say there's anything wrong with the Fords. The Fords can still be competitive without a doubt. It's just that there's only one of the Ford teams that's really been dominant.
Well, and the 21 car, with a rookie driver that's only got a couple Cup starts, has qualified real well at a couple of the shows too. I mean, hasn't performed during the race, but he's qualified well. So it's not the engines.
Yeah.
And Roush is making the engines and giving them to Penske.
Yep.
So
it's I've said it. I'll continue to say it. Roush's issue isn't a veteran to guide these guys. It isn't talented drivers. It isn't crew chiefs. It's engineers. And unfortunately, the Sprint Cup Series and the NASCAR Series has focused a lot on engineers over the last 2 years. That's where all the money is going now. That's where these talented guys like Tom Ackerman are going to be worth their weight in gold and probably even double it, because when they can find that 10th, which Kevin Harvick needed last night to get by Joey Logano, that's where the big difference is paying off these days. And I think that's where Roush Fenway fell behind 5 years ago, was he wasn't developing his engineers when he was still developing his talent. So,
well, that 10th last night was the line. Mm-hmm. Plain and simple. If Harvick would have been in front, Logano wouldn't have been passing him either. He'd have been driving all over the place trying.
Yeah. So, all right. So the point standings, we had just a few minutes left. 402-573-059. We'd be glad to take
trivia.
The call. And we got I guess some trivia too while we're in the break. I'll get that ready for you guys. So Eric Almirola, 35 points behind 16th place. By the way, that's Clint Boyer, who is 35 points to the good, locked into the chase so far. Casey Kane, 37 points behind, and Greg Biffle, 83 points behind. Mathematically, they can all still get in on points, but, I mean, come on, that's a lot of points to make up in 2 races. Austin Dillon and everyone behind him, including Kyle Larson, are too far behind. They must win to get in. So, Eric Almirola, Casey Kane, Greg Biffle, do you see any of those three winning and getting in?
Like I said, Casey Kane's the only one I think has a legitimate shot. He's won races at Darlington, and was it last year or the year before? He won Richmond to get in.
Yeah. He won Atlanta last year to get in, which was about this time last year. I think it was Labor Day weekend races when Atlanta was last year. So that was his getting into the chase last year. But he's 37 points behind. That's a lot of points to make up on a guy like Clint Boyer, who, when you've got that big of a lead, you don't necessarily have to. You don't want to push the subject. You want to. I'm in 10th. I've got a 10. I've got a 5th place car, but I'm running fine in 10th. Let's not push the subject and ruin my car.
Well, he might be that way at Richmond. He won't be that way at Darlington.
Yeah,
he would with one race, but he won't with 2 because he can't do that twice in a row.
So that's the way that lays out. 402-573-0590. I think. Do we have a phone call? Oh, PJ's online. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back in turn number 2. We'll talk with PJ Pedersen, the voice of Shelby County Speedway and Crawford County Speedway. This is The Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Located just north of Bass Pro, Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 200 people. bachelor parties, corporate outings, team meetings, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he is talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Kosiski Auto Parts a call today at 402-731-4592. Kosiski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
Race fans, NASCAR returns to Kansas Speedway Sunday, October 18th. It's the 5th race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. NASCAR's finest are all in, including Jeff Gordon in his final full-time season race at Kansas.
And Jeff Gordon is right where he needs to be.
Park free, coolers welcome. Tickets for the Hollywood Casino 400 Sprint Cup Series race, $99 or less. Kids tickets, just $29 at 866-460-RACE or KansasSpeedway.com.
Dan and Dirk are rolling into turn 2 with a little attitude on the front stretch.
Oh, if you only knew the things that were said in between the breaks on this show, you'd know we were rolling in with a little bit of attitude.
I dare you to mention it.
Maybe around New Year's we should do a blooper show.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Our entire show is a blooper show. Stan Cisar joining us in studio, helping to kind of co-pilot this whole situation that's going on here at the Front Stretch Radio Show. Turn 2 brought to you by Kosiski Auto Parts. Online at Kosiski.com and located at 51st and I Street in Omaha. It's just a block north of L Street. 402-731-4592. Quality used parts at an affordable price. Get to Kosiski Auto Parts today and get your car back on the road at an affordable price. All right, now heading over to the phone lines and to the hotline, talking with the man that is the voice at Crawford County Speedway this year and now taking over at Shelby County Speedway. PJ Pedersen, how you doing this morning, sir?
Good. Wait, hold on. Blooper show. You could fill the whole offseason with blooper shows.
We're thinking about it. It's going to be the non-legends of the front stretch. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, there you go.
Problem is, half our blooper show would be a beep.
Well, we haven't. Listen, when you guys have like Sammy Swedell and Scott Bloomquist and those guys on the show, you got to have the bleep button ready to go.
You know, it's funny. They can be as professional as possible when the cameras are on or they're doing a radio interview or whatever, but they're potty mouths.
Yeah,
they're drivers. They're all potty mouths.
Yeah, and well, we don't even need to get into my thoughts on Scott Bloomquist, but yeah, he's a very entertaining guy to talk to, and I think I'm going to try to get him on the phone before the year's out again to talk about his season and that kind of stuff. But anyways, that's a conversation for another time.
He won again last night.
Did he really?
He won at Lawrenceburg last night.
Wow, he's doing really well for himself all of a sudden again. Really kind of showing that, hey, I may be getting older, but I'm not done yet. PJ, how you doing, buddy? How'd year number 1 for you go at Crawford County Speedway?
Went really well. We had a few rainouts, but what track didn't?
Yeah, amen.
But we were able to wrap up our season and, our point season, I should say. We still have 2 big shows coming up at Crawford County and 2 big shows coming up at Shelby County.
And I believe that first one's coming up this Friday, going to be the Denny Hovinga Memorial race, originally meant to be kind of a prelude to the to the Tiny Lund Memorial. Is that still kind of the idea, or is this now become a second separate race?
This has kind of become its own standalone deal, and we really have some really cool stuff going on for this deal. Denny Hovinga himself is actually going to be at Crawford County Speedway. He's going to be signing autographs and handing out trophies. And for those that don't know, Denny raced for well over 40 years all over the Midwest. And, he raced against my grandfather in the 60s. He's raced everything from old jalopies up through modifieds, late models. And it's going to be really cool to honor a living legend like that. And we are pulling out no stops for this one.
So talk to me about the race. How's the action going to happen on Friday night?
Well, we're going to run our usual 5 classes: sport compacts, hobbies, sport mods, stock cars, and modified. And we're going to increase purse in all classes. Now, the cool part is going to be the modified, because we're actually kind of stealing a page from I-80. We're going to kind of run it Charlie Clark format style. It's going to be a total 40-lap feature for $1,000 to win, but we're going to run 20 laps, start 3 wide. Then we're going to take a 10-minute break where you can work on the cars. Now, here's something that our race director, Rod Olson, wanted me to make sure to point out. You can get under the cars. They're going to be on the front stretch while they're working. You can climb under the cars, but you have to have jack stands to support the car. If you don't, and you're under the car, they will boot you because they want to make it as safe as possible.
Right.
Now, after that 10-minute break, we're going to take the other 20-minute segment, or 20-lap segment. They're going to start kind of a modified Delaware double file restart. The leader will have his own row. Then they're going to start not 2 wide, but 3 wide behind him. So it's going to be really, really cool format, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one's going to happen.
Have they set a limit on how many times they're going to try that 3-wide start? Seriously.
Well, as far as I know, no, but I don't.
You might want to mention that to somebody. You might want to mention that to somebody, like, we'll try it 3 times. Because I've seen some of those 3-wide starts before, and, I mean, you got yellow going into one, and you'll end up a half an hour before you get your first lap in.
I think Crawford County is much wider front stretch than like, say, Boone, And, of course, we do the 3-wide start at Eagle for the Sprint Car Nationals, but same thing. Sprint Car is much narrower than the modified, so.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's gonna be a very cool deal. And we have a few little surprises that we're going to pull out for Denny, but I can't really get into those. People are just going to come up and see, but it's going to be an amazing, amazing night. So when we have that, like the increased purses, I know the modifieds are going for $1,000. I believe stock cars are $750. The sport mods are $500. The hobbies are going for, I think, $300 or $400, and then $250 to win for the sport compacts. But the cool part is, when you pay all the way back in the sport compacts, just the start is $75, which for the sport compacts is unheard of.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah. So I mean, we got some really good money there. Then the next night we roll into Shelby County Speedway, and all I got to say is it's back for the 23rd time in the last 24 years. The annual salute to the man, the native of Harlan that managed to make it big in NASCAR. Tiny Lund, the Tiny Lund Memorial is back.
Well, that's got to be a big win for you guys to get that race back at the track that really kind of made it famous and really honored Tiny Lund and taking last year off. So kudos to everybody over there that's making that possible to bring that back, because I know that was a big shock to the community when that was announced that they weren't going to do it last year.
Exactly. And, kudos to High Banks Promotions. I mean, you got Brett Luann Pugh, Doug Batt, and Mary Pedersen for bringing this back. We're looking at over a $20,000 purse. And, I mean, hobby stocks, we're only doing hobby stocks, sport mods, stock cars, late models, and modifieds. The bombers and sport compacts will not take part. The hobby stocks is $400 to win. Sport mods is $500. Stock cars are paying for $600 to win. And modifieds and late models are $1,000 to win. And the thing is, we are starting an hour earlier than usual for the Tiny Lund. The pits open at 3. Hot laps are going to be at 5.
Okay.
So we are going to start things rolling a little bit earlier because we are expecting a decent car count. I do know that the Llewellyn clan is planning on coming to Denison on Friday night, and then obviously Clint's been running Harlan all year, so they'll be there for the Tiny Lund. And we're looking to pull in some good cars for both races.
Do you have? Oh, go ahead. Dirk.
So the Tiny Lund is just going to be a one-day show then, because it's always been a multi-day show.
It usually was a multi-day show because the High Banks Promotions is trying to kind of get into the swing of this. They're going to do a one-day show this year and then kind of reevaluate next year what they want to do, if they want to make it a multi-day show or kind of keep things the way they are.
Well, I mean, that used to be one of the great things about that show. I mean, that place would be its own little city for the couple days. I mean, they'd have a test and tune night on Thursday night and Then they always had Sunday for the rain day, because I know I used to tech a lot of those shows up there. And I think Stan announced quite a few of them up there.
Yeah, a lot of years.
And, we always had Sunday for the rain date, and it was always a race to get back to Sunset to to run your second D. They'd start racing at Harlan like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday to get the show done.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's something that a few people have kind of balked about a little bit, but, really, like I said before, with High Banks Promotions taking over this year, they really want to try and make sure they can make a go of this. So we're going to do it as just a one-day show.
It's a good move. It may not be a favorited move, but it's a good move because
I'm glad they're bringing it back. I'm not trying to knock them.
Exactly.
I was just curious.
I guess they have to crawl before they walk.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. And a lot of these big races like this, you're going to lose money the first couple of years. I mean, that's just the way it goes. Any race you bring on for the first time, and this is kind of like resetting and bringing it back for the first time. It'll be interesting to see what the racing community does to support it. Hopefully they do, but maybe they wait a year or two to find out what it's going to be like before they start coming out and resupporting the Tiny Lund. So these guys at High Banks may end up losing money this first year, but if they don't lose much, then they can bring it back the next year, try to recoup their losses.
Right. Now, here's the cool part is, not only do we have these two shows, but up at Crawford County, October 3rd, we have our annual Oktoberfest. And, I mean, Dan, you've taken part in the first two. It's usually one of the biggest races we have all year.
Actually, I never took part in it because I was always at Kansas Speedway for the Sprint Cup races.
You were. That's right, you were.
Yeah, but I never did those.
But basically, like I like to call it, it's the last blast before we run out of gas, because it's the last chance for most of these guys to get out and have a little fun. No points on the line, just all bragging rights and purse money there. So we have that coming up. And Harlan actually has one more race after the Tiny Lund, and it's going to be so interesting. They are doing a 150-lap enduro race on September 19th. Basically, run what you brung. There's very, very few rules, and you can actually go on racescs.com, the website, and check out what few rules there are. But this thing pays $5,000 to win. We've already got, I was talking to Brett Pugh last night, we have people from North Dakota, Illinois, I believe some coming as far away as Georgia, and we've even got a couple of drivers coming from Winnipeg, Canada down for this thing.
Jeez. And I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said they were racing. Is it, what class is it?
It's enduro.
Pretty much run what you brung. It's a 150-lap enduro. As long as the car meets a couple of little rules, I think there's you have to have a 4-point cage with 3 door bars on the driver's side and a couple other small little rules. Once as long as it meets those rules, it's first one to complete 150 laps gets $5,000.
Can I bring my Ranger out?
As long as it meets the rules, yeah.
All right. I'll download those rules right now, and I'll get the Ranger out there. I'll show you guys what being a fast car is all about.
I've ridden with him driving. There's nobody's got anything to worry about.
Oh, don't worry. I've ridden with him over to Iowa Speedway a couple of times on the interstate.
Both of you got back safe and sound. You just calm down. Maybe a little full in the pants, but you both got back safe and sound.
Depends.
Now, one other thing I do need to hit is folks are going to need, those that were in the points battles in Shelby County, they do need to kind of keep tabs on the website. We, of course, like most other tracks, got rained out last night. It was championship night last night. Now, as far as I know, Doug, Brett, and everybody there at High Banks, they're looking into doing whatever they can to possibly do a makeup because it was championship night. No decision has been made yet, but if everybody keeps surprised on racescs.com, as soon as they figure out what they're going to do, if they're going to call it a season or if they're going to make it up, they will make sure and put that out there for everybody, because we had a couple of I know Hobby Stocks and Sport Mods had a couple of really close points battles yet to decide.
All right, PJ, we appreciate your help and joining us on the show this morning. Always do love talking to you. We'll talk to you probably in the next couple of weeks to recap the Tiny Lund.
So I will be here.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
Thanks, PJ.
And let's take a break. We'll come back in turn number 3. We'll talk with Stan Cisar about the latest happenings in the world of sprint car over the last couple of weeks and what is going to happen in the coming couple of weeks. This is the Front Stretch presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs has taken a page out of IMCA's rulebook and gone crate. These brand new low-emission engines will still have you white-knuckling it all through the Metro's fastest indoor facility. Joe's Karting is now friendly for all skill levels with their brand new Honda-powered engines. It's time to get to Joe's today and find out what drivers like Jack Dover, Shaylee Bate, and Andrew Kosiski have known for years. Located in Council Bluffs and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K.
One of the hardest things to find in the world is a trusted mechanic. Your car breaks down. You need someone that won't see you as an opportunity to pad their wallet. Jim at Tuffy Tire and Auto Service in Bellevue is that person. From brake and AC inspections to custom exhaust and new tires, Tuffy Tire and Auto Service in Bellevue is your new trusted source for getting your car back on the road. Find them on Facebook at Tuffy Tire and Auto Service Center of Bellevue and online at tuffybellevue.com.
The nation's best 360 sprint cars are headed to I-80 Speedway September 18th and 19th for the Midwest Fall Brawl. ASCS National Sprint Cars, A-Mods, B-Mods, and Midwest Stock Car Association all battle at the famed I-80 Speedway. Rico Abreu, Jack Dover, Danny Lasowski, Brian Brown, and many more are among the drivers trying to win the Home Pride Hailstorm Double Down bonus of $20,000 if they win the A feature on both nights. I-80Speedway.com for tickets and info.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the Front Stretch.
We do appreciate you joining us this morning on the Front Stretch. A little bit of a chilly Sunday morning in August. Not a lot of times you say that. If you want to get the latest weather and news, make sure you head over to Channel 3 and talk to John Walsh, who is a local racing fan. And John will get you taken care of this morning and throughout the week for your weather needs. Turn 3 brought to you by Kansas Speedway. Tickets for the Hollywood Casino 400 still available at kansasspeedway.com. Starting at just $99 or less. They've got a ton of them left, so make sure you get to kansasspeedway.com and pick up your tickets for the Hollywood Casino 400, the 5th race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Championship. Happens October 18th. That's on the Sunday. Xfinity is on Saturday the 17th. Trucks, it's a trifecta that weekend, right? Or is it ARCA that night?
ARCA's Friday night.
So a lot going on at Kansas Speedway that weekend. Tickets are getting on sale now. KansasSpeedway.com or call 866-460-RACE. And don't miss Jeff Gordon's last appearance at Kansas Speedway. So I wonder if they're going to do something special for him.
No, the fans can do something special if they're going down for Saturday and Sunday. They can go over to Lakeside Speedway on Friday night.
That's always fun to do. The SLMR series goes over there and races for those nights. We'll go over and cover the races. Anthony Angel will probably join us that Sunday morning, recap the action that night. So a lot goes on down at Kansas Speedway and over at Lakeside Speedway, just a few minutes away. Stan Cisar, how you doing, sir?
Really good.
Appreciate you joining me in the studio this morning.
Yep, not a problem.
Last time we were live, we set a new for the show, had a live guest in the studio, and now, second one, keeping them up. We had Jack Dover, and now we got somebody just as big.
Yeah, probably bigger in size, but
you're kind of a big deal.
You're just like Jack, folded in half.
Yeah, there you go.
So a lot of racing action has happened over the last couple of weeks that we haven't really got a chance to kind of recap much with you. So let's talk a little bit about the Nebraska 360 Sprint Cars. Is anybody other than Jack still winning?
Last Tuesday night, they raced with the World of Outlaws out at Junction Motor Speedway. And it was kind of a feel-good story. A guy that's been close a lot of time, lost one on the fourth corner of the last lap out there a couple of years ago. Don Drow Jr. picked up the win.
Good.
And it looked like Jason Danley, another veteran. He was out there, had a pretty good lead, and got tied up in some lap traffic. And Junior kind of ran him down, and they had a pretty good battle there, negotiating some lapped cars. And Don Jr. got the lead. Jason hung on for the second spot, but the real racing was going on back third and fourth. Jack Dover started. He drew deep in the field, and has been, as of late, he's been starting back there in that third, fourth row every week. And he caught Ryan Roberts, and they traded slide jobs for about the last 5 laps. And it really got pretty ugly the last couple laps, but Ryan ended up picking up the third spot over Jack by about a half car length right at the checkered flag. And just behind them, a couple more youngsters, Tyler Drucke and Cody Ledger. They were having their own little battle of slide jobs and had a pretty good race going on back there for 6th and 7th. Seth Bramer right between them finished in the 5th spot.
Well, I don't remember where it was, but I think I remember reading somewhere where Code Red got his second win of the year here that in the last couple of weeks.
He picked up a win up at Jackson, Minnesota, a 360 race up there with the Minnesota Sprint Touring Series.
How'd that Outlaw race go? I didn't even hear who got the win.
Very good race. Kerry Matson got the win up there.
Really?
Actually, yeah. He on the invert started in the front row of the dash. He and Donnie Schatz, and he beat Donnie down to turn 1 and picked up the win. Got in the dash, which put him on the front row of the main. And Donnie, same thing happened in the feature. Donnie was running second. Joey Saldana, who set a new track record earlier in the evening, a 13.5 second lap, which was like 99.97 mile an hour average for the 3/8 mile, and pretty hustling around there, pretty darn good. And he ended up getting by shots for the second spot, but it was a great race.
Good. And Donnie Schatz didn't win.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing, huh?
What? All 3 appearances in this area, Donnie Schatz didn't get the win, even though he seems to be winning everywhere else.
He did win up at in North Dakota, though, later in the week.
True.
So,
well, that conspiracy just doesn't cover Nebraska.
Yeah. It's only at Knoxville.
Right. And let's talk a little bit about Knoxville. I know going back to it, a pretty entertaining week. You didn't get to spend as much time there as you wanted to, but I know you went over for a couple of races.
Yeah. I just spent a couple nights over there during the 360 Nationals, and just between work and having races going on here, we had a Sprint Series of Nebraska race on Thursday. Race I filled in for you on Friday.
Thank you for that, by the way.
And then at I-80, and then our regular weekly show at Eagle. And we did listen to the A main event on the internet broadcast in somebody's trailer after the race was over down at Eagle.
Jack's 410, did he lose it?
Lost it, yeah.
And that was down at Oskaloosa?
Oskaloosa on Monday night, yeah. He's been pretty much snake bit with that 410 engine, and actually the 360 he's been having some kind of chronic problems with the 360, but when it's right, it's really right.
Yeah.
And even when it's not right, he's still close.
Well, and it was my first race Saturday that I went and saw the Knoxville Nationals and the championship night a couple of weeks ago. So I didn't really know what to expect out of it, but Jack just seemed kind of flat the entire race.
Yeah, it was just and he was a little disappointed, when in the starting format and stuff like that. He actually had a pretty fast race car, but just didn't work out that way.
Yeah, and a little miscommunication. He thought only the top 4 were transferring. He was battling for 7th, had it along the backstretch. Didn't realize that he was on the bubble to get into the race, and so he didn't fight for that 7th spot when they came out of turn 4, ends up falling back to 8th.
Well, and normally and he said that they mentioned at the drivers' meeting that they were taking the top 4, but then they end up taking the top 7 and wasn't there, so you don't know who said what. But some miscommunication, and so he goes, well, I'm driving a borrowed car. He was driving Lance Moss's car that night, and but I think he probably could have if he'd have put it in the show, he's a better racer than he is qualifier, I think.
Yeah. So that's the way everything went down. And actually going back to Kevin Swindell a little bit for just a little bit. I talked to Chris Krug last night. Not a lot of information is coming out of that camp as far as what's going on with Kevin. We do know it seems to be a serious injury. When he got injured, was that Thursday night of the 410s, the first night, first heat, first everything for those guys. And he was released from the hospital last week and on his way home after a couple of surgeries, but not much coming out of that camp. But he's got a long road to recovery.
Yeah, word on the street is the back injuries. They've performed a couple successful surgeries, but there's a spinal injury and those
scary.
things are
It's always really scary. All right, let's go back over to Eagle Raceway. You guys were set to race last night. Mother Nature said, let's make it a Sunday matinee.
And that's what we're going to do, actually, starting tonight at 6 o'clock, moving things up about a half an hour so we can get that program done. And as things have been going, we've been getting done in a pretty timely manner. Last night we had 30 sprint cars in the house last night. It was going to be a great show. Some really good names and a great field of cars on hand. All in all, right at 140, 145 cars in all 5 divisions. And unfortunately, the first wave of storms came in, and then it quit, so we started working the track, trying to get things in shape. Then another little one came in. We're still going to try to get it in if we can, but the third one came in, and it just didn't quit for about 20 minutes. And by that time, even though we hadn't lost the track because Roger had gotten out and was doing track prep as it was raining, but we figured by then it's such a shame because 5 miles up the road the rain was gone, and another 15 minutes later it was gone at the track, and it never came back for the rest of the night. But look forward to a big Sunday night edition tonight, and get started early enough everybody can get home in time to be up for work on Monday morning, and hopefully maybe even pick up a few more new cars because it's going to be Sunday night and some other tracks don't run on Sundays. And looking forward to a great night tonight.
It's going to be cool. What's that going to do for the track?
Oh, I think it'll be great. I think and it's not terrible. 75 degrees. That's good racing weather.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun.
But we were talking about Eagle Raceway in the weekly point series. We've had close to 45 different cars competing during the year, and averaging probably right in that 26, 27 cars per night. And last night we had 30 in the house. And your points leader right now is a second-year sprint car driver who came out of the mini sprint division a couple years ago, Sean
really?
Pointer out of Grand Island. He's doing a great job. The last 2 A features have been won by Mike Boston, who has had kind of a 1.5-year streak of bad luck. Well, it looks like he's got his game back together, and he was a 7-time track champion, and he picked up the last 2 A features. Maybe should have been the last 3 A features, had a parts breakage 3 weeks ago, and he's raced his way up into that 4th spot already, so things looking good there.
Let's take a quick phone call real quick. Michael wants to talk about Billy Alley. I figure, Stan,
Sure.
you'd be the best person to talk to about that. Michael, what do you want to talk about? Michael, you're on the front stretch. You want to talk about Billy Alley?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you, bud.
Billy, 360 Nebraska Cumberland driver, put a 410 engine in down in Knoxville. I finished 20th in the AMA, so he put on a pretty good show. Friday, he finished like 4th in the AMA feature.
Yeah, Billy did a great job over there. Billy's no stranger to Knoxville. He was a 2-time national 360s nationals champion over at Knoxville, and he has raced weekly there, quite often, and he has run in that 410 division over there in years past. And nice to see him. He's got a great car owner this year. He's got a good operation together with the Ironwood Builders and Colby Ridge team, and those guys did a great job over there. It's nice to see Nebraska doing pretty good in that 410 division.
That was fun to watch. All right, you guys have a good show.
Hey, great. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks, Michael. Have a good morning.
We talked about the Nebraska 360 Series. They got a big event coming up this coming Friday night over at I-80 Speedway, the first annual Bill Smith Memorial.
Yeah.
That's going to be taking place, Carpetland 360 Sprint Car Series, presented by Speedway Motors. Will be on the bill along with the other 5 weekly classes, and looking forward to a big event down there.
Should be a lot of fun. I'm excited to join in the booth again.
And then of course, Saturday will be the final points night at Eagle Raceway for the Race Saver IMCA Sprint Cars. The following night, on Sunday, we've got a big race coming up. It's actually a makeup for a rained-out event. That's going to be at the US 30 Speedway on a special Sunday night edition out there. SLMR late models and the Sprint Series of Nebraska, IMCA Race Saver Sprint Cars. They put on a great race out there last Thursday night. Jason Martin picked up the win out there. That's going to be a big, good event. Anthony and I will be out there with Jim Scott calling the action. And then, of course, we've got coming up Labor Day weekend, the big one, the Race Saver IMCA Sprint Car Nationals will be at Eagle Raceway, big 3-day event. We've got over 101 entries from 17 states and Canada.
Wow.
They'll be starting 3 wide, the fastest 27 in their A-main event. The following week, the Nebraska Cup National Sprint League back in town, 410 sprint cars. That'll be at Eagle Raceway, along with the Sprint Series of Nebraska. That'll be an all open-wheeled show that night with the Race Saver sprint cars. Fall Brawl, Midwest Fall Brawl, coming up at I-80 Speedway on September the 17th and 18th. We'll take a week off and come back with the Fearless 410 finale. That's going to be National Sprint League, the final 2 races on their points tour for 2015, their inaugural season. And the rumor is the Nebraska 360s might also be on the Saturday night portion of that show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Going to get the 360s involved in that. You got a lot of calling to do over the next couple of weeks.
A lot of sprint car action. I'll tell you what, sprint car fans, if Michael's a Billy Alley fan, he's going to have a lot of racing to go do to cheer Billy on. Billy did lose the points lead in the Nebraska 360 series out at Junction Motor Speedway on last Thursday night. He had been leading. Jack Dover lost an engine on the first race of the year. That was at I-80 Speedway during the opener, and so he missed the second night of the year because he didn't have a backup motor ready to go. And the third race of the season was Cody Ledger picking up the win. Jack finished second. Then Jack went on a tear. He won 4. They had a bounty on him. Jonathan Cornell came up and took the bounty. Race went green, white, checkered. Jonathan started in second row. Jack started in the fourth row, and Jack was right there at the end, but couldn't get by. And then
he needed about maybe another half a lap, and even to another lap to catch him. But
Jack wins 4 more in a row, and then finally now Downdrow snapped the streak last Tuesday night out of Junction Motor Speedway. So, it's very competitive racing, and it'll be good to see Billy back in his own 360, hopefully this coming Friday night out at I-80 Speedway, and let those guys duke it out. Right now, 11 points separating first and second.
Stan Cisar, voice of Eagle Raceway, voice of the Sprint Series of Nebraska, the voice of the Nebraska 360 Sprint Cars. If you're at a racetrack and there's racing going on, you're probably hearing Stan Cisar.
Well, yeah.
Well, if there's sprint cars involved.
Lately, it seems like it's kind of swung over. He used to be a late model guy, and it's kind of, and I love the sprint cars. I mean, I love them all the way from the Race Saver 305s all the way up to the NSL 410s. I get the opportunity to call some of those races out on the western end of their tour along with Bill Wright, and I have a great time doing it, and
Are you worried we're going to get more calls to do next year since they're adding the 360 series?
Well, it's hard to say, but
do you know if that series? I'm sorry, we should have probably gone to break by now, but I got more questions for you. Do you know if that series is going to be like a twin series? They're going to run together at the same tracks?
I don't see that happening. I'm thinking there's probably going to be some shows that they do combine the 2 races, but I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be more of a regional series, and they're talking about expanding from the Gulf Coast all the way up to the Canadian, but it's going to be just centrally located. I think the rumors I get are there's going to be, separate point series in the different regions, but there are going to be some marquee events that are going to be a participation points race for all of the regions, and they're going to be located within that central region of the United States, and make it to where it is feasible for travel. But we better get into turn number 3 and into turn number 4 right now. I feel a slide job coming up.
We're going into turn 4. We got a big announcement coming up, Dirk. A lot of things going on with the front stretch over the next couple of weeks, and we got a big 5-week pick'ems contest we're going to announce here in just a few minutes. This is the front stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, located just north of Bass Pro. Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 200 people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team meetings, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
This is Andrew from Kaziski Auto Parts. Kaziski Auto Parts is an insurance quality used parts supplier that can match your foreign or domestic car or truck needs. If you have a damaged or broke down car or truck, we guarantee a clean and quality part in next day fashion. Kaziski Auto Parts, your neighborhood premium recycled parts supplier. Call any Kaziski Auto Parts salesman today by dialing 402-731-4592 or visit us at 5040 I Street in Omaha. Kaziski Auto Parts, our quality used parts will match your car or truck's needs.
Race fans, NASCAR returns to Kansas Speedway Sunday, October 18th. It's the 5th race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. NASCAR's finest are all in, including Jeff Gordon in his final full-time season race at Kansas.
And Jeff Gordon is right where he needs to be.
Park free, coolers welcome. Tickets for the Hollywood Casino 400 Sprint Cup Series race, $99 or less. Kids tickets, just $29 at 866-460-RACE or KansasSpeedway.com.
Dan and Dirk are live for one last corner. Give them a call now at 402-573-0590.
And again, 402-573-0590. We've got trivia coming up in just a little bit. Also, the Big Pick'ems contest announcement will review who won the 5-week contest. It came down to a very close battle, Dirk. Very close battle for that contest and who's going to win themselves tickets to the racing coming up in the next couple of weeks at I-80 Speedway. And I dropped my pen. Great. That'll be fun. All right. So, as I'm trying to recoup and get through this show, we're trying to finish things up. Quick Steak and Lube, the official sponsor of turn number 4. No racing going on today, but plenty of football's back on, isn't it?
There's racing today. Just got to go to Eagle.
You're right. There's Eagle Raceway.
6 o'clock.
Check out an event they're doing tomorrow night. This is a really cool thing that they started about a year ago. It's called a Touch a Truck. It's an opportunity for kids and, quite frankly, for adults to get up close and personal with those vehicles that we see blazing by us on the interstate, or they're always on display. Like, for instance, they have a replica Optimus Prime semi that is going to be there tomorrow night at Quaker Steak and Lube for Touch a Truck night. They've also got National Guard stuff. They have balloon. The balloon artist is going to be Anthony. The balloon artist is going to be there. I'm trying to think of some of the vans. The Channel 94.1 van from here at our radio cluster is going to be over there. A lot of different things going on, and a lot of really cool event is happening over there at Quaker Steak and Lube. It's absolutely free to attend. You can take your kids over and check it out.
Well, I don't want you to be rude and cut in line this year. I want you to stand in line with the rest of everybody else.
And not only that, they got great wings over there.
Oh, man, amazing wings.
And
right?
ribs.
So a lot of really cool things going on at Quaker Steak and Lube. Check that out. You can find them on Facebook and check out their event, Touch a Truck, that's going on tomorrow night at Quaker Steak and Lube. I think everything kicks off at about 5 o'clock, and throughout the night, different vehicles are going to be coming and going, so you can check that out. All right, the 5-week Midwest Fall Brawl contest wrapped up last night, and well, this is a familiar winner. Mike Carlson won himself the grand prize. Teresa Wolf, 5 points behind him, finished second. Sonia Worth, third. Rick Havenridge, new to the contest, he finished fourth, so he's going to win himself a pair of tickets. And Monty Oman broke the tie with Brock Ackerman. Brock had just one win in the 5 weeks. Monty had 2 wins, so the tiebreaker went to Monty. So Monty is officially our 5th place finisher, and he won himself a pair of tickets to go to the Midwest Fall Brawl, courtesy of I-80 Speedway.
But winning the Fall Brawl is nothing compared to what you win with the next contest.
The next contest is going to be a doozy. It's for all our NASCAR fans, and I made some announcements Friday at I-80 Speedway about it, and I already got about 5 or 6 new people signed up for the contest. Here's the way it works. Grand prize winner, I should pull up my contest rules so I make sure and say this right. The grand prize winner is going to win themselves a pair of tickets to the Kansas Lottery 400 on Sunday and the Xfinity race, the Kansas Lottery 300 on Saturday. So you're going to win a pair of tickets to both of those races, and you're going to win track passes to both of those races.
And maybe something else if we can just get it solidified.
We're waiting for the okay from a couple of teams to open up their coffers and give us a little bit more to make it that much extra. But I think we might have to lean on our friends over at Iowa Speedway next year for the May race to be able to get this done. But
that's still a pretty good prize,
Right.
getting to see those races.
So 5 people are going to win something. The grand prize is a pair of track passes to Saturday and Sunday and a pair of tickets to Saturday and Sunday. 2nd through 5th all win a pair of tickets to Saturday and Sunday. It's absolutely free to join. You don't have to pay a thing. You just have to send me your picks for 5 weekends.
We got 5 pairs of tickets to the race, and we couldn't get in ourselves?
Well, they have a history of us. We didn't get in on security. The contest starts with the next race, the Darlington race, and then ends on race number 25 at Dover, Delaware. It's really simple. Send me your pick each and every weekend, who you think's going to do best that weekend, and you get their championship driver points. We tally it up at the end of the 5 weeks. Whoever has the most points after this last contest, it happened to be Mike Carlson, so he won himself the Midwest Fall Brawl tickets. It could be you. You could be going to Kansas Speedway on us.
Me?
Yeah. And by the way, Dirk's got the hotel room for you too. I got a nice hotel room for you, by the way. We're excited about our hotel. Sleep number beds. I love this thing. The only 2 rules, and it's about as simple as it gets. You have to have your pick in before the green flag waves, and you cannot pick the same driver more than once during the 5-week contest. We actually had that happen a couple of times in this latest contest, so I needed to make sure and point that out. Send me an email, frontstretch590@gmail.com. That's how you get registered. Again, it's absolutely free. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to do anything. All you do is just send me a pick every weekend, and it's a kind of a fun contest. It turns out to be a lot of fun.
And free is always good.
All right, let's do, we got a couple of minutes left. Craig, how many minutes we got left in the show? 402-573-0590. I got time to give away 1 prize pack, so let's give away some really cool prizes. I've got 5 Danny Lasowski hero cards. We'll give away one of them. He was over at the over at I-80 Speedway for the NSL race, so let's give away one of those.
Okay, I got a dirt track trivia for you.
You got dirt track trivia. If anybody's got some dirt track knowledge and you want to win a Danny Lasowski hero card, autographed hero card, 402-573-0590. We got a couple of minutes left in the show. We got time for you guys to get involved in that and win yourself a Danny Lasowski autographed hero card. And he was nice enough to sign a bunch of stuff for us. I also got some autographed stuff from him. It was a Road to Knoxville flyer. Him, Jack Dover, and Brian Brown, who were the 3 sprint cars featured on that poster, all signed it.
Name the first 2 points champions for the Carpetland Nebraska 360 Sprint Car Series presented by Speedway Motors.
You could do that. Call in 402-573-0590. That's the number to call and get in right now. And if you can name who were the first 2 Nebraska Carpetland 360 Series champions, then you're going to win yourself an autographed Danny Lasowski hero card. It's fully autographed. It's a cool little card. It's about 4x8, I think. Maybe a little bit smaller. 4x7. Nice little hero card. And it's got all of his action on there, some of his stats on the back. 402-573-0590. All right. Well, that's going to have to do it for us. We'll take the phone calls off the air. 402-573-0590. Dirk, as always, love having you in the studio. Appreciate you being a part of the show.
Great day.
And keeping me in line. I do appreciate that. The next race, by the way, coming up, again, we got a lot of racing action coming up this weekend. Friday at I-80 Speedway, Speedy Bill Memorial. Friday at Crawford County Speedway, the Denny Hovinga Memorial. Saturday at Shelby County Speedway, the Tiny Lund. Tonight at Eagle Raceway, we make up last night. You also we had Thursday, you're at the Sprint Series in Nebraska?
This coming Saturday, then we'll be back at Eagle Raceway, and then on Sunday we'll be at the US 30 Speedway with the SLMR and Sprint Series in Nebraska.
Frontstretch590@gmail.com. That's where you can email us to get involved in the Midwest Fall or in the next Pick'ems contest, which is the 5-week Pick'ems contest for Kansas Speedway tickets. For Dirk Houston, for Stan Cisar, I'm Dan Taylor. Thanks so much for joining us. This has been the Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
One of the hardest things to find in the world is a trusted mechanic. Your car breaks down. You need someone that won't see you as an opportunity to pad their wallet. Jim at Tuffy Tire and Auto Service in Bellevue is that person. From brake and AC inspections to custom exhaust and new tires, Tuffy Tire and Auto Service in Bellevue is your new trusted source for getting your car back on the road. Find them on Facebook at Tuffy Tire and Auto Service Center of Bellevue and online at tuffybellevue.com.
The nation's best 360 sprint cars are headed to I-80 Speedway September 18th and 19th for the Midwest Fall Brawl. ASCS National Sprint Cars, A-Mods, B-Mods, and Midwest Stock Car Association all battle at the famed I-80 Speedway. Rico Abreu, Jack Dover, Danny Lasowski, Brian Brown, and many more are among the drivers trying to win the Home Pride Hailstorm Double Down bonus of $20,000 if they win the A feature on both nights. I-80Speedway.com for tickets and info.
This has been the Front Stretch Radio Show, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. To contact Dan or Dirk, find them on Facebook at The Front Stretch or email them at frontstretch590@gmail.com. If you missed any part of today's show or want to hear a previous show, subscribe to the Joe's Karting YouTube page, where you can find almost every Front Stretch show.
Nebraska's new spot on the dial. AM 590 KXSP, Omaha's official home for Husker sports.